to authenticate what is believed to be Hunter Biden's laptop data.
You're confident, based on your analysis, this is Hunter Biden's data and that it's real?
Yes.
CBS News is having a really weird week. First, they threw a little hissy fit and said they were going to leave Twitter out of an abundance of caution.
And Musk has called for an emergency meeting for all remaining engineers. In light of the uncertainty around Twitter and out of an abundance of caution, CBS News is pausing its activity on the social media site as it continues to monitor the platform, Major.
Jonathan Vigliotti, thank you.
I guess less people being censored really bothers them. They announced a few days later, after pausing for much of the weekend to assess the security concerns, CBS News and Stations is resuming its activity on Twitter as we continue to monitor the situation. What probably happened was you realized nobody cared if you were here or not, and you're losing a lot of clicks and revenue by not being here, so you decided to return. Very heroic. And also it seems like CBS is confirming the Hunter Biden laptop story 769 days after New York Post broke the story, according to the Post. Let's watch some clips.
And as Republicans take control of the House, Hunter Biden, the president's son, will be a target for investigations. And that means data from a laptop reported to belong to Biden could be crucial to the investigatory process. CBS News has obtained its data not through a third party or political operative, but directly from the source who told us they provided it to the FBI under subpoena.
Are we supposed to believe that this was a mistake and they were just being very cautious? I personally don't believe so.
Lanterman and his son Sean, both digital forensic experts, recovered images of credit cards, a driver's license, social security number.
Just the sheer volume of what we're dealing with, it would be difficult, if not impossible, to fabricate.
They love to call things conspiracy theories, cover it up when it's politically advantageous to politicians that they support and back, and then act stupid and foolish a couple years later like, oh yeah, we just made a mistake, we just made a mistake, we just made a mistake, we were just being cautious.
And explained how files built up over years.
It accumulated over time, which is consistent with normal, everyday use of a computer.
There's some reporting about folders being added.
We have read these articles. We don't see that.
Does anybody really believe this anymore? I thought this meme was great. It said, ignore the Epstein-Maxwell client list, ignore Hunter Biden's laptop, ignore FTX money laundering, investigate Ticketmaster over Taylor Swift tickets. I guess that's the priority. And in this live as well, we're gonna watch a clip of Donald Trump respond to being reinstated to Twitter because his answer was very interesting and included him saying that Truth Social is giving power to Israel.
In many cases, they're both sides, but I can tell you there's a lot of voice for Israel, a lot of power for Israel in Truth Social. So Truth Social has been very, very powerful, very, very strong.
Interesting answer. We're going live. The show starts now.
It's the Dream Rare Podcast. Welcome to the show. The way to get the news at the desk or on the road. Let's go. God is great and success in our control. The world is crazy, but we get better from obstacles. It's the Dream Rare Podcast. Welcome to the show. The way to get the news at the desk or on the road. Let's go. God is great and success in our control. The world is crazy, but we get better from obstacles. Yeah.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to this live episode. I'm going to play another clip from that CBS report on the Hunter Biden laptop story. Real quick, though, I just want to tell people, dreamrare.com, the code is ending soon, in all caps, ending soon. 22% off everything this week. It's Black Friday, Cyber Monday. I don't do a lot of sales, but this is the sale. It's real. None of my prices have been jacked up or anything, and we're pretty much doing like a blowout sale until everything is out. I'm not really buying more product this year, so that's ending soon is the code, 22% off, dreamrare.com. All right, I'm going to take that off because I don't want to be annoying, and let's watch another clip from this report where they're talking about Hunter Biden's laptop being real, I believe over 700 days after right-wing media dropped the actual report.
Whatever happened to Hunter?
During the 2020 election, versions were widely shared by Republican operatives, including Rudy Giuliani.
We have the entire hard drive.
But questions were raised about whether additional files were added to those versions. Then candidate Biden labeled the laptop controversy disinformation.
What he's accusing me of is a Russian plant.
CBS News approached the lawyer for the computer repair shop owner to cut through the noise.
We've always had one clean copy.
So it was like a 5 or 6 minute report. I think they're about 2 years too late. Obviously, I mean, the media can pretend like this is this spontaneous mistake, like 2 years of lockdowns and mandates and, oh my gosh, we just made this massive mistake and we're so sorry and now we've learned our lesson. We've taken 2 years to investigate it. Does anybody really believe that? Left wing, right wing, like Trump, not like? Does anybody believe that they just spontaneously thought that was Russian disinformation when it wasn't? The intelligence communities and Biden said it was disinformation. This is what they do when they don't want to talk about a subject. Everything's disinformation, everything's Russian. Cover it up because they knew that story was going to affect the election. They wanted Joe Biden to win. He's a bigger puppet. He's more controllable. He's more establishment. So we just play this little game that everything that goes against him is wrong and disinformation and Russian. And then 2 years later, when it doesn't matter anymore, then the truth comes out and it doesn't really matter. The same thing happened with lockdowns. When lockdowns were happening and I tried to say that I thought it was unhealthy because obviously there's also obesity, child abuse, domestic abuse, people, suicide, opioids, missing screenings for other diseases. They're closing down hospitals. They're closing down beaches. They're closing down parks. The economic damage and the cost that could have on people's health. All of these obvious things during the lockdown. I mean, it's obvious of all the negative things that they were doing. Even if you were pro-lockdown for whatever reason, you should be able to have an honest conversation about the collateral damage that they caused and then decide whether it was justified or not. But what the media did and what big tech did and what all of these politicians did is said, oh, it's a conspiracy theory to want to stay open. It's so dangerous. It's so bad. And then 2 years later, reports from Johns Hopkins come out. Others come out. The truth about the COVID vaccine data comes out because it's no longer just a Pfizer report or an independent study. You have a case study of, hundreds of millions of people on Earth that got it. And now if it doesn't, do anything with transmission like they said it did, that all becomes obvious. And then they'll say, oh, well, we were just operating with the best that we had at the time. The best we had during the election was that the Hunter Biden disinformation story was a Russian program. That's the best we had. And now 2 years later, we've corroborated what everybody else. Yeah, but BS. Everybody knows you're lying. Everybody knows they do this. And, they always tell you the truth years later when it's too late and they already got exactly what they wanted. I want to just show you a few stories that I found in the news over the last year because it's pretty interesting. Semi-unrelated. Here's one from a year ago. This is October 2021. CNN reported that Antarctica's last 6 months were the coldest on record. So even though the world's getting hotter, Antarctica is getting colder. So I guess the polar bear freezing stories don't work there. This was also this year. It says parts of Barrier Reef, record high amount of coral in 36 years. The Great Barrier Reef, which they always told us we're running out of coral, actually has more coral than they've ever reported. And this is just a meme that I thought was great. It says Clown World presents greatest moments in the science, and they have the igloo bubbles, the kids sitting in little squares, hugging people through plastic, shutting down basketball courts, sitting in a little circle, playing the flute with a mask on your face, the greatest moments in the science. So the same thing they do with the Hunter Biden laptop story, the same thing they did during lockdowns, the same thing they'll do with climate change is say, this is the truth, this is what it is, and if you even slightly disagree with me, you're a conspiracy theorist and it's disinformation. And then 30 years later, they'll be like, yeah, I guess we were slightly wrong or whatever, but still you're bad. When it comes to the Great Barrier Reef, if I were to say 10 years ago, I bet you in 2022, the Great Barrier Reef is going to be at a record high. You would have had every scientist, every data analyst, every government employee who works for NASA and studies this type of stuff. And NASA doesn't just do space, by the way. They do Antarctica and they do climate change stuff as well. They would have said you're a conspiracy theorist. That's disinformation. There's no way the Great Barrier Reef would grow back. It's dying. That's what's happening. But then it grows and the people who predicted that get no credit. And same with the cooling of the earth. I'm not saying that the climate's not changing because we don't live in a free country where you're even allowed to say that on social media without losing all of your money, revenue, and they'll fact check you and destroy your life with no customer service. But in general, obviously the climate's changing. Winter, summer, spring, fall, sun up, sun down. Nothing's exactly stagnant. If it was stagnant, we'd be dead. So of course it's going to move. But this idea that everything they say is unquestionable, I don't believe that they're just making mistakes, whether it be with the trajectory of the Great Barrier Reef. If you study that, they haven't even studied the Great Barrier Reef forever. So when they say this is the lowest it's ever been, that's the lowest it's ever been since you started recording. Well, it's the highest it's ever been. Well, it's the highest it's ever been since you've recorded. How long have you been recording the Great Barrier Reef? I think Australia's been recording it for less than a century, way less than a century. How long have humans been able to have the technology to study the entire temperature of the planet on average by going to Antarctica, by going here, by cross? It hasn't been that long. Even some of the records in Canada, they'll say that they've only been recording this for a century max, or maybe a little more, maybe a little less. I'm not quite sure. I don't have the numbers on me. But the point is, the fear mongering is extravagant. And then when they admit, whether it be, I know this is different, but the same sort of logic comes along, they do what they need to do while they need to do it with the Hunter Biden laptop story. 2 years later, once everything they needed to get done was done, now it comes out. When it comes with COVID, everything they needed to get done, they could say that they didn't do this or it's just spontaneous, but Operation Warp Speed, vaccines, tens of billions of dollars worth of profit, the biggest exchange of wealth in modern history, people losing trillions, wealthy people gaining trillions. I'm sure that's just all a coincidence. Target's open, but all of that happens. And then 2 years later, it's like, then they'll start doing op-eds and be like, was it really worth it? Was it really worth it? And the same thing's going to happen with climate change. They're going to do energy shifts. They're going to get away from gas, go to other stuff. I'm all for real clean energy, but if you're destroying lithium mines and your electric cars need to be plugged in, it's not like plugs just come from the sky. What fuels the plug? When you plug in electricity, how do you create electricity? Where does all that come? These are things they're not really concerned about. It's not like everything's just operating off of completely clean solar power at the moment. But anyway, they'll do all this stuff, say you're a terrible person if you question it, and then 10 years down the road, maybe there's a blackout in California like there's been every year, and people lose energy and people starve, and hopefully it doesn't get to that point. But then it's like, all you'll get is an op-ed that says, oh, maybe we were wrong. The same they did with Hunter Biden, the same they did with COVID. So at this point, I pray that people are paying attention. I understand that they use characters in the left and the right and social justice and fake environmentalism and all these things to make people feel like, oh, I'm fighting the bad side. And, it's turned both parties, I think, into hypocrites where people aren't really concerned with what's right or what's wrong. I think the left is okay with covering up that story if it benefits their party. And to be quite honest, I don't know that the right wing wouldn't, if they did the same thing with that. Of course, you don't get the corporate media that much on your side, but I don't know who really cares about anything anymore. I think it's like everybody's just so focused on winning that they're not even paying attention to what's really happening. So before I play the next clip, I want to just show Donald Trump's response of being let back on Twitter. It's pretty interesting. I want to say that CBS, the news network that also just randomly decided to report the Hunter Biden laptop story about 2 years late, they said they were leaving Twitter because of an abundance of caution. They're so scared of Elon Musk and him rearranging the company. Ooh, Elon Musk. Oh no, and they announced that they were going to leave Twitter. And then a couple of days later, they announced that they're coming back. No one cares if CBS is gone. CBS is not like an interesting news source. ABC, CBS, NBC, whatever. You guys leave, nobody's going to notice. They could get that same reporting from AP or Reuters or BBC or Bloomberg. You're nothing. You're nothing special. You have no stars who work for your network when it comes to, reporting. So this hilarious moment of them being like, we're leaving, and then they start crunching the numbers. Well, how much money do you want to lose? Because when you're on Twitter, that's clicks, that's revenue, that's funneling to your website, which you profit off of. And if you leave all that behind, no one's going to care that you're gone, but you're going to notice the revenue. So I think, money talks, and real quickly they're like, oh, I guess we are going to go back on because nobody really cares about us. Before I play the Trump clip too, I want to weigh in on Elon's brought back a lot of people. Savannah Hernandez got brought back today. There's dozens of people, Babylon B. He's bringing back more people every day, but Elon says he's not bringing back Alex Jones. And the reason he said, I don't have the official quote, but he said, I don't bring back people who would exploit children. He said he had a personal story, Elon Musk, where one of his kids died in his arms. That's super sad. And he said he doesn't think it's okay for people to exploit the death of children for political gain. if that were truly the case, Elon Musk, I agree with you. That's horrible. But then you'd have to ban almost every member of Congress, as Nuance Bro mentioned on Twitter. You'd have to ban almost every news source. I think both sides play into certain tragedies. If somebody crossed the border and killed a kid, the right wing will politicize it. But they'll report it. If a school shooting happens, the left wing will politicize it. If there's an LGBT shooting, the left isn't even concerned with why that person got killed. I think it's evil, but it's like, was that person gay and were they shooting up their friends at a gay club? Is that person seeking revenge? Is that person even left wing or right wing? Was there a political or social motive? Was it personal or was it broad? Is that person just hating on at least can we wait a couple of days to try to figure out the motive? Nobody does that. Nobody does that on the left wing. So I find it, I know Elon is not going to be perfect, and I appreciate the little things he has done. But if you really want to be honest, Elon Musk, and you want to ban people for politicizing the death of children, you'd have to ban almost every single Democrat and left-wing media, as well as a lot of right-wing media. Because everybody, unfortunately, in this country is constantly politicizing the death of children to try to take away our free speech, our Second Amendment, and they're not even concerned how it happened and what could have solved it. Sometimes they'll ban a gun that wasn't even used or wasn't even, wouldn't have solved the issue. So, I'm tired of everybody, including people like Sebastian Gorka, Alex Berenson, Elon Musk, left wing and right wing, they're acting like, well, Alex Jones is different. He's worse. I'm not saying he's perfect. I'm not saying I agree with everything he's ever done, but is Alex Jones worse than, left wing and right wing media who started the Iraq war and sold us into millions of people dying, millions of children getting displaced, the refugee crisis everybody complains about? Here's what's really ripe about the right wing. They constantly dig their own political grave, and then they throw up their hands and act like they're innocent victims. Oh, well, we're so against refugees coming into Europe and America. Okay, I understand. I'm not saying that's wrong, but why are there so many refugees coming to America? Did it happen because George Bush started a war and passed it off to Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton? We're so against all this stuff going on with the vaccine tyranny. Well, who's the one who gave $18 billion to Big Pharma and signed off on Operation Warp Speed? Who's the one who extended the lockdown and told you? So it's like, this is the right wing. It's like a giant clown show. They're against the problem that they helped created, but they never want to get to the root of the problem. So the point that I'm trying to get to without rambling too much is, left-wing and right-wing media who started these wars that led to the refugee crisis, millions of people being killed and displaced, trillions of dollars being spent, and our soldiers, risking their lives for this country. How are you more moral than a guy who pushes conspiracy theories and gets a lot of them right and some of them wrong? I'm not saying that it's a great thing to get stories wrong, but the media does it every day, all the time, and they hurt people with their stories. Is there any retribution or is there any sort of reparations, for lack of a better word, for the millions of children who are suffering under the COVID lockdown regime? How many news sources said it's okay to force mass children? It's okay to have them miss school for 2 years. How many kids ended up killing themselves? How many people's parents killed themselves because they had no job and nowhere to go and they were stuck at home and they got depressed? I mean, is there anybody tallying the amount of people killed by mainstream media? So if you're going to enforce that on Alex Jones, that's fine. He's not perfect, but at least be fair, because in my opinion, what the mainstream media did during lockdowns alone and during some of the last couple wars alone is worse than Alex has ever done in his entire life. And if you look at the products that he sells a lot of holistic stuff and toothpaste, and the mainstream media sells pharmacy pill, pharmacy pill, pharmacy pill, pharmacy pill, and crappy food. They have no standards for their advertising, and I think that says a lot about somebody. I sell my hats at dreamrare.com. These are hats that I would wear. These are hats that I designed. Almost every article of clothing I designed, I had one or two designed by somebody who's better than me, but for the most part, I won't sell something I don't believe in. Even if someone, hey, Anomaly, here's $1 million to sell a shitty pill that you don't believe in. I won't do it. Fox News does it. NBC does it. Say what you want about Alex Jones. I'm not saying all his products are perfect, but his products are mostly holistic and vitamins and things that he would probably take. And you have these crappy mainstream media news networks. They'll sell any food, any war, any pill. How does that make you a more moral person? This is what we're trying to do here on this show, is reframe the fact that, oh, you're so bad if you ruffle the feathers of these evil people. It's the same reason people like Donald Trump. Was he perfect? No. Did he make mistakes? Sure. Did he end up being an establishment politician? I think so personally, but they're like, well, he said this on a bus 30 years ago. Okay, but did he start a war that killed millions of people? Because saying something mean on a bus isn't the best thing, but it's not as bad as getting millions of people killed or starting, a war that ended up generations being injured from Agent Orange. That's pretty bad. No, it's like the moral equivalency of like Alex Jones bad, but CBS good and Fox News good. Donald Trump bad, but Chuck Schumer deserves to be on Twitter because he's just so well spoken. It's like, does anybody really believe that false framing anymore? So we're reframing it with a more honest take. Here's Donald Trump responding, his full response, at least as full as I could find, of Elon Musk giving him his Twitter back and whether he's going to leave Truth Social or not to go on it. Let's take a watch.
President, I wanted to pivot a little bit to current events as in happening in real time. I don't know if you've been following. Twitter is blowing up today. Elon Musk posted a poll that had over 13 million respondents so far asking whether or not you should be reinstated on Twitter. My question to you is, what do you think about Elon Musk buying Twitter? And if you are reinstated, will we see you back on Twitter again?
Well, I like that he bought it. I've always liked him. I got along with him very well during my days as president, and I got to know him pretty well. But I do like him. I've always really, he's a character, and I tend to like characters, but he's smart. He did put up a poll, and I hear it's very overwhelming, very strong. But I have something called Trump. If you look, it's Trump-owned, but it's really fantastic. Truth Social. And Truth Social is through the roof. It's doing phenomenally well.
All right, so we'll play the end of that clip. So, he said, I like Elon. Elon's a character. I like characters. And, we'll see if he wants to get back on Twitter or not.
The press hates to talk about it, but it's doing phenomenally well. I think engagement is much better than it is with Twitter. And it's taking care of voices that really want to be taken care of, and really smart voices, brilliant voices, voices that in many cases are both sides. But I can tell you there's a lot of voice for Israel, a lot of power for Israel in Truth Social. So Truth Social has been very, very powerful, very, very strong. And I'll be staying there. But I hear we're getting a big vote to also go back on Twitter. I don't see it because I don't see any reason for it. They have a lot of problems at Twitter. You see what's going on. It may make it, it may not make it, but the problems are incredible. The engagements are negative, and you have a lot of bots and you have a lot of fake accounts, which I think they should get on. But Truth Social has taken the place for a lot of people, and I don't see them going back onto Twitter.
So I want to get back to the Abraham.
So, I understand he's selling his own product. It makes sense. They're competitors now, but I don't think he's telling the truth. I don't think Twitter's engagements is less than Truth Social. That's not true. And then he said, it's giving a lot of power to Israel. I guess he's at some sort of I don't know if that's like some donor meeting or something. I'm not sure, but some kind of weird statement. Yeah, we're giving power to Israel. Don't worry, guys. But we'll see if he gets back on. Twitter helped Trump a lot get his message out there. I think Trump is the best Twitter user of all time. He was funny. He kind of reinvented how to use those characters to make full statements with exclamation points, punctuation. So, I think in order to run for president, and this is what I'm dealing with as well. It's you don't want to lose your reach to people, especially if you're running for president. But, I could go to another social media network and say, hey, I'm fighting Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and it's great. But at the end of the day, what do you really want in this world? Of course, income is important or else you can't even do anything. But really, the reach is important. If you're trying to be, a journalist or a news analyst or some form of political activist like a lot of people are, do you want to talk to yourself or do you want to make a difference? So, the trying to weigh through Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I got deleted from TikTok recently, which kind of sucks, but it's I wanted to get my message out there to people who wouldn't normally hear it. So I think just I kind of want to be on Twitter, and I think Elon's going to make a better business out of it. I think eventually if Trump didn't sign some sort of privacy clause with Truth Social, he can only post there, I think he's got to get back on Twitter to really run a campaign because, he could always just post links to Truth Social as well. But I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. And real quick, I'm going to answer a few questions. That's the story of the day. And I want to just keep this up for the rest of the time. DreamRare.com, code ending soon. 22% off everything. I don't jack up the prices. It's not a fake sale. It's a real sale. The prices are the same this year as they were last year. No inflation. And I'm not buying new products. If you want a green hat, a white hat, a pink hat, I'm not buying any new ones this year. I've already spent lots of money. I buy them. We stitch them. We ship them. All in the United States, really made in the United States. It's not fake, good quality. So I'm not getting any more stuff. Next year, I'm trying to have more products, get innovative with it. But for now, thank you guys, everybody who picked one up. Someone said TikTok is so trash and people still use it. I mean, to be honest, I don't support the communist Chinese regime or anything. But as far as algorithms and functionality, TikTok is great. I think there's a reason it's taking off. They've found a way to make it very engaging and fun, and there's a lot of music on it and comedy. So, I mean, I think TikTok is so innovative that everybody's copying it. Now Instagram's doing Instagram Reels. They didn't think of that. They just copied TikTok. So whether you like TikTok or not, it definitely has, changed the game to some extent of, everybody wants to be like it because it works, I don't have the numbers, but I'm guessing shorter content, keeps people engaged, obviously, to some extent. Let's see. Someone said, I love my sweatshirts, super soft and warm. Thank you, Star Lily. Yeah, the God is Great sweatshirts are pretty much sold out. I think they have XXL left, but they cost a lot of money. They're not cheap sweatshirts. Compare the God is Great sweatshirts that I got made in America. Compare them to other sweatshirts. I'm not trying to compare. I guess I am, but some people will give me free merch sometimes. Say, take this, it's always like made in China and it's like, doesn't feel good. Mine are nice and I wouldn't say silky because it's not made of silk, but they're soft and comfortable and they're not cheap. I could have got something half the price, but I spent like too much on those, but it's okay. Someone said, I have a Samsung and I don't know that makes a difference. It's the best Android by far. Yeah, I'm not really into the phone game. I know a lot of people are going to like Samsung and Google phones. iPhones apparently are, you can get good quality on the other side. It's just everybody's comfortable with iPhone. Someone said it's addictive to adults and it's worse for kids. Yeah, I mean, all social media is pretty addicting. I think TikTok's addicting too, but this is just my personal experience. With TikTok, when I used to use it before they banned me, I didn't get like negative content. Maybe that's because of what I looked at. I didn't get like a bunch of like on Twitter, everybody's fighting. On Facebook, it's like Instagram's cool, but I get a lot of political content. On TikTok, I was getting a lot of like musicians, and it was nice to just kind of tap out but that might just be because of what I was looking at. I wasn't looking at that. Someone said, doesn't TikTok lower your attention span? My attention span's been low for a long time now. So I don't even watch long movies anymore. So I'm sure it doesn't help. Yeah, if you're watching like 30-second videos, but if you're a millennial like myself, we haven't had an attention span in a long time. But also it's like, this is the age of information, right? It's just like, there's so many options. This is like the curse of, it's a blessing and a curse. The curse is like, I could be doing a million things right now, but that'll drive you crazy because, you're never happy getting split in like thousands of different places. So I think we have the access to everything, but it's like information overdrive to a certain extent. With that, I want to say real quick, I'm grateful for social media. I understand that TikTok just banned me, which is a bummer. I understand that YouTube and Facebook have in many ways treated me like garbage, and their customer service is dookie. But with that being said, I can't really play the victim because Facebook, I've made money. I've reached billions of people. Like I've literally gotten billions of minutes watched. So even if they took away everything tomorrow, I wouldn't be thrilled. I'd be very upset to some extent. But, none of this is guaranteed. It's not like Facebook even had to exist in the first place. So I try to not be too critical. It's like there are other ways. If I really wanted to complain and be like, Facebook, I could stop using it. Everybody complains, but then they hop right back on it because it's like, it's like an iPhone. I don't like Apple, but it's a pretty good phone. Jeff Bezos is not the most ethical person, but his service is pretty damn good, the deliver in 2 days. So it is what it is. I got a new chair, by the way, so I feel good. I had that crappy made in China chair. Now I got this like posture chair. I feel great. I feel like I could last a while. Let's see. Your platform Here's the thing though. I'm only going to stay till 40 minutes and I'm going to cut it off. But yes, I could bring people to another platform, but it's never going to be the same. It's not. If I have 1.6 million people on Facebook, they're not all going to go to Rumble. They're not all going to go to another platform. So, I have built an audience, but it's not as easy to like migrate off these networks as people think, Is my chair made in America? I hope so. I don't know if I even checked. I think it is though. Let's see. Get on the Web3 game, bro. I'm paying attention to the crypto and the Web3 stuff, but I'm not really on it. How would these millennials live without social media? I mean, it's just the world we live in, It's like being born in the 40s. You can't get mad at the kids. That's all they really know. All you could do is if they're your kids, you got to raise them properly, or try to. I don't know. I don't know life any other way, so I enjoy getting off my phone, but I also enjoy the finer things in life. It's nice to be able to order food or get products very quickly. So I think that's the best we all could do is be conscious of what we're doing. But I don't be like, oh, the internet sucks. It's like, I don't know. The internet doesn't suck completely. You can make money off it. You can order things off it. You can attain information off it. I've learned so much thanks to the internet. So someone said, John Carter said, please make more music, financially reward this man. Thank you, John. I appreciate it. Oh, do I think crypto's dead? I don't think it's dead, but whatever that scammer guy didn't help it. I wanted to say yesterday I spent like 2 to 3 hours writing my book. I've said all year I want to get it done by Christmas, and it's really close. So the book that I've been working on, it's so relevant too. When all this Kanye West stuff came out, it's so funny because I've been writing this book for over a year now, and everything I've written in this book is happening in real time, and the blind spots that people have with hate speech are happening in front of me, and I'm like, I gotta finish my book. So I'm trying to have my book done by Christmas. It's gonna be good. I put my all into. The book is going to be about racist, sexist, anti-Semitic, xenophobic, climate denier, all these words. And basically it's going to be my pitch on how they're manipulating language to enslave us and take away our rights and freedom. So, it's my best go at that. So I'm pumped. I spent a lot of time yesterday, and now that I got the ball rolling, I'm going to try to do it tonight, tomorrow night, and really crank it out. I don't want to say the name of my book yet, but I'll tell you when it's out. I'm floating between a few ideas. Someone said, I've never been on Twitter or Facebook. How am I even alive? Well, yeah, it's like with my, someone asked me, I was in an Uber with my mom and my stepfather the other day, and the Uber driver recognized me, that picked us up from the cruise. And he asked me, he's like, does your mom support your stuff? And I'm like, I look back at her and she's like, yeah, but I'm like, to be honest, my mom's not on Facebook. My mom's never been on social media. She hasn't been on Facebook, YouTube. She uses nothing. So, there are people that exist that have never got on social media, and then other people use it a lot. So to each their own, but if you've never been on Facebook or Instagram, that's probably not a bad thing. Probably means you're strong and strong-willed, mentally strong. Can I tell you if I think the mandates for healthcare workers will ever end in New York City? I mean, I think it could, but I don't know. I don't know how the Democrats running the show. What I do know about California is the Democrats in California, like the Gavin Newsom Democrats, they pretty much have a monopoly on California. They know they're never losing elections, and they seem to work very hand in hand with healthcare. So they always pitch it as like, oh, we're helping out, we're giving you free healthcare, we're giving you the mandates. But when you have a governor that works so closely with like insurance companies, etc., when you give someone insurance, someone's paying for the insurance. Like, oh, you have to get insurance. In California, if I opt out of insurance, they pay me a penalty. So I buy insurance and it's $200, $300, $400 a month, whatever it is. And then that's money that they get. So I think it's a big scheme in the Democrat areas. they always act like they're so kind, like, oh, we want universal health care for everybody. But in reality, they're usually working with the health and pharmaceutical and health insurance lobbyists, and they strike this deal, and, they don't want it to end because, when it comes to the vaccines, whether it's Pfizer or Moderna, Moderna is owned by the government. Pfizer's getting sued by Moderna, so they're trying to suck out their money. The government, bought and funded the product. So this is what people don't understand about, in my perspective, how evil Operation Warp Speed was. People are, you'll find a video of Trump saying, oh, I made such a good gamble, I took such a good gamble to fund them and buy, because I believe he bought hundreds of millions of doses of Pfizer before the product was even ready and studied. And Trump will pitch it to people as, oh, I made such a good gamble. I bet on them before we even knew it worked. But the reality is, when a government is funding a product, when a government owns a part of the product, like they do with the Moderna, and then the government does socialist funny money schemes to buy 100 million doses of the product, do you think the government is just going to let the product sit there and be like, oh, we made a mistake, it's not as good as we thought it was, let's just let all this money go to waste and make Pfizer make $20 billion less? No, it's like, once they buy the product, they're going to sell the product. There's actually reports, I think it was Bayer, but you have to look into it. There's reports that they knew that the product didn't work as well as they thought it did, but they still sold it to other countries. This is like a mainstream Guardian report from a few years ago. So it's not like heroic to buy Pfizer products before they work. It's like, yeah, then they're going to sell them. That's just like how it works. But, this country is very sold out to big pharma and health insurance companies, and it's really just a matter of if people realize it or not, because if nobody realizes it, they're going to keep doing it. And in Democrat states, unfortunately, it's more competitive in New York, but in California, people just don't get it here. They just keep voting for Democrat, and they're completely oblivious to how, corrupt they are. So I don't know what that means or what that's going to do, but it is what it is. Did the Pfizer CEO ever cure his bullfrog neck condition? I don't know. I did see that video though, and it was very odd and very weird. Someone said Trump Lake 2024. I think she's probably a front runner for his vice president. That she would make a good vice president. She's loyal to him. She lost her election, so she's not busy. We'll see. I'm going to take off. I want to keep this short so people actually watch it, and I don't have too much to say. Appreciate you guys. God bless you. I'm going to keep writing my book and focusing on stuff for the new year. But during this year, I have white hats. We found more. They were sold out, but then my merch guy called me today and said they have like 70 of them. We have beanies. We have some sweatshirts left. Everything is on the verge of being sold out except for the stickers. We have a bunch of those. But I'm not buying new product this year. I mean, nothing's wrong with it, but I'm just doing a blowout sale. We've bought a lot of products, so 22% off everything for this week. It's like my Black Friday sale. Everybody has to do it. It's trendy. So dreamrare.com. The code is ending soon. 22% off everything. They won't be cheaper than they are today. And I'll probably keep the prices the same. I'll try to be like in and out and never change the prices. But everything's going up with inflation. So we'll see what happens. Thank you guys for watching, and let me know in the comment section. I'll try to finish the book by the end of the year and do other stuff, make new songs. Got a lot of work cut out for me. Appreciate you guys. Have a beautiful day, and I'll be back very soon.